All right, everybody. So here we are, Yuri, Coach Yuri, and our friend, the legend Adie Hughes, right? The one who has never been scored on. So just to give you guys a little insight on everything, I'm the goalkeeper director for DSA United, and Adie played for us her whole high school career. While she was playing high school, she played club for us for quite a few years, so I pretty much watched her developing as a goalkeeper and as a person, and now I'm really proud to see all the progress that she's made in high school, in club soccer, and then now in college ball. So college ball, it's what makes me proud too. So Adie, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? Where have you played? Tell us a little more.
All right, I'm Adie Hughes. I started off playing club my first few years of soccer for River City out of Bangor. Came over to DSA, and that's kind of when I started taking soccer a little more seriously. I started playing goalie, played for DSA I think 5 or 6 years, and then went on to play collegiately at Nichols College in Dudley, Massachusetts.
What a girl. So yeah, so Adie is in college now. And then Adie, tell us why, like how did goalkeeper happen? Like when did you start? How did that passion develop?
Yeah, I think I was playing Bronco Travel, which is like youth soccer, like before club. And I didn't even know if I wanted to play soccer. I wasn't sure. So I started off like playing the field like everybody else, and nobody wanted to play goalie. I think that happens a lot, yeah. So I was like, I'll give it a try, and it was kind of fun. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't mind throwing myself around. So everyone was like, all right, you're the goalie now. And I stuck with it and just loved it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Different stories. I know people that started from the beginning, and then I know people that were never a goalkeeper before, and they suddenly did it, and it worked out, you know?
Yeah, I didn't even really start playing soccer till middle school, had some knee injuries. So I didn't even really jump into it until like much later, let alone play goalie. So.
Oh, wow. Crazy. Now, an interesting topic here. When do you have your first goalkeeper coach? In case you guys don't know, the ones that are new for that, most clubs in soccer, they have a head coach, an assistant coach, and hopefully a goalkeeper coach, because goalkeeper is a position a little different, right? So when was your first contact with a goalkeeper coach, and what differences did you find that it made to you as a goalie?
So when I was playing River City, we had like goalkeeper specific trainings, like separate times from the team training. So that was my first goalie coach. I was like younger, and I think at that time it wasn't so much about the coaching as it was like being around other goalies, like, you know. And I'd see goalies that were older than me, and I'd be like, oh, I want to play like her, oh, I want to play like him. So at the time it wasn't really about the coaching because we were young. It was more about just like being with other goalies. And when I came to DSA and we had Yuri, that was when I started kind of seeing the difference of what having a goalkeeper coach can do, and started like really focusing on training and building, and really realized what having a goalkeeper specific coach can do for the goalies outside of the team training, where you might not get specific work. So that was like my first real goalkeeper coach experience, other than just, you know, being around like-minded goalies at a younger age.
Awesome, and here we are, still working together, guys. She still trains with me. We still got her ready for season, which is awesome. I try to always here and there watch the games, and she's still working hard. I love that. So, Adie, tell us your favorite memory with soccer. What's your favorite soccer memory that you had? I know it's hard to choose only one, but what's the first one that pops in your head?
I think, and it sounds crazy, but in high school our team was like okay, and then there was the rival team that we had been like battling against since we were like, 12 years old, like youth soccer.
What are the names? Tell us.
Bangor.
Okay.
And I played for him then. And Bangor is always, I mean, to be honest, way better than us. And we had no business ever beating them. And my junior year, we went out and we beat Bangor. Again, we had no business beating them. And we celebrated like we won the World Cup. and I remember getting in my car and checking my phone, and I had like texts from like 11 different like people in schools being like, there's no way you just beat, and it sounds crazy to have like one high school win be the best memory, but literally it felt like we won the Olympics.
You're like, yes,
it was
we
something
did
that
it.
we shouldn't have done that we did, and
We
it was
did.
just years and years of getting beat by them, and it felt awesome. So.
Wow. Yeah, so one thing that I find, right, goalkeeper, being a goalkeeper, it's a very different position. It's a different spot there. If you were to pick a few things, what are the main lessons that being a goalkeeper brought to your life? Like, what are things that you know you're gonna take for forever?
Yeah, definitely something on the field would be like the communication skills you learn, because you can be the worst goalie in the world, and if you communicate to your players where to be, you won't face any shots. You can be the best goalie in the world, and if you're not good at moving your defense around, you might take 50 shots and you might get scored on and you might lose the game. So being a goalie on the field has taught me a lot of communication and leadership skills that carry on towards life as well. And it also just teaches you a sense of community, because when you're out here training with your goalies, and you're the crazy ones that play goalie, that throw themselves around, and the friends you meet at goalie training and at club practice just are like family for life. And I think that's a very important lesson that you learn through soccer, but specifically through this position where you have to do a lot of one-on-one training with each other.
Love that. That's really awesome. I agree. That's you definitely need to communicate. So, and by the way, that's one of her strengths. I always tell her. Like,
I talk a lot.
You do great at that. So that's awesome. Adie, who are your role models? Who are people you look up to? Can be athletes, can be non-athletes. Who are the ones that inspire you?
I would say, I promise he didn't pay me to say this, but Coach Yuri and Coach Tammy, just because, DSA changed my life. Every time I walk in here, I'm just like excited to play soccer, and like no matter what else is going on, this just feels like a place where we're all here to just play, and everything else seems to go away. And also, my JV coach from high school, he's a funny guy. I don't remember anything he ever taught me about the game, but I remember everything he taught me outside of it. So I would say my JV coach, Coach Ryan, would be the other role model that, if I need advice on something completely not soccer related, those are like the three people that like I would call first.
Don't know him, but big shout out to Coach Ryan, guys. Love that. That's awesome. So something a little different here. Last season, right? Adie won states for DSA, which was a really, really great accomplishment. I was really proud of her and her team. And something very, very different happened. They won states, but not just won it, also won without conceding any goals, right? And of course, it sounds great for us to talk about it, right? Like, oh man, you didn't get scored on at all. And I remember making, silly jokes and saying, oh, Addie's a legend. She's never been scored on. And I'll tell like the young goalies that we work with, and they'll be like looking at Addie like, wow, like Wonder Woman. But, it sounds great talking about it. But Adie, tell us, what was the price that you had to pay to achieve that? Because nobody sees as much behind the scenes, how much you had to put on. So let's talk about it. It was special, yes, but what price did you pay to achieve that?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, it was like kind of a joke. It's like, oh, we haven't been scored on yet. And then towards the end, it was like, wow, like we could really do this. And then the last game, the championship, all we had to do was get through it to, one, win states, and two, have a whole year without being scored on. And it went from like, wow, we could do this, to like, we're going to do it. And I think that was because like the work we put in. So I took a gap year to focus on soccer, and I was living 2.5 hours away, and the other goalie that was training with me was living 2 hours away, and I was working a full-time job, and we were here 3 days a week. So I work all day, get in the car, come here, go home, get home at 1 a.m., wake up for work at 7, and do it again. And I think just towards the end of the season, it started to like click, like the work that we put in, me and Gemma, who's the other goalie that was with me. And I think a lot of like the outside people were like, oh, DSA is good. Like, they're just good. They're just better. And that's why they're not getting scored on. But I don't think people saw the work that it took to get to that point. The 3 days a week, super far away, the late nights. And that's what made it worth it to me. I didn't care that we didn't get scored on, but it was the fact that all of that was worth it. And in that last game, it was just like, okay, like this is how it's supposed to end. This is how we're supposed to do it. And it didn't feel like, oh, we could do it anymore. It was like, this is how it's supposed to go. And that was a really good feeling. And it showed that everything we did, all those hours, all that driving, through some terrible snow conditions and almost having to sleep on this couch overnight, like it all paid off. It was great.
You got me super worried too. I'll be like, Adie, text me, mate. Please let me know. And let me know when you guys make it, because as a coach, man, I would get worried. And I think something is good to mention too is like, I watched all of that, and I can tell you all, like, these girls, they put the work in, not just the goalkeepers, but just thinking also a lot of their players on their field. They were always here doing extra work, and I just don't want to mention only one name, but I know that quite a few of them were present and doing extra work, and that's definitely worth it. It paid off. So I love to see how it ended.
Yeah, now, I think we get a lot of credit, but I mean, everyone from front line, they scored probably the most goals that's ever been scored. Back line, I mean, there's
Coach
no way.
Dan did a great job with you girls.
There's no way you can not concede all year with a bad back line. Our back line was absolutely fantastic, and just all together, the team was just together and best friends, and that's the result that we earned.
And I mentioned, I think playing for Coach Dan is definitely, he brings that extra grit, like, come on girls, let's fight for it, and that's solid. So that's great. Let's move on a little bit. Let's go away from club, from high school. Let's talk about college ball, Adie. Tell us a little bit about your college experience and how it went. What's the difference? What was the level difference between being a high school player and then moving on and playing college? What did you feel? Was that like, wow, all right, this is real? How did that feel for you?
So I think part of it's like what you'd expect. Like you expect it to be faster. You expect the players to be more fit. You expect the level of play to just be better overall. So obviously there's that part. I think the biggest difference that I wish I would have known going in is kind of high school club. It's a fair shot every game. No team's going to really scout you out. No team's going to really watch film in high school. You might know if the best player on the team's left-footed or right-footed, but beyond that, you don't know much. In college, every coach has access to every game. You watch film on every player. So it's not necessarily like a straight shot anymore, because every team that you play is going to know your weakness. So if you're weak, in the air, all you're going to get from these teams are shots in the air. And that's something that I wish I knew going into college, is I got to be solid all around, because if there's one area that I've got away with being weaker and in high school and club, just because, what are the odds they're going to shoot there? In college, they're going to shoot there every time because they know they're going to beat you. So that was the biggest difference that I learned, is they know everything about you before you step on that field. So
that's awesome. That's a good lesson. So girls trying to play college, take those advices. That's actually why we're doing this, so we can reach to those people that really have in their heart to move on and take the path that Adie took. Take those little tips, because they're going to go a long way, okay? Adie, 3 words that define your experience in soccer.
I would say first would be like community. Like the goalies that I spent the last year training with 3 times a week, like best friends. I talk to them all the time. We're always like filming each other's highlight video or watching each other's games online, even when I'm states away. So that's probably the most important part of soccer to me. Number 2 would be competitiveness. I love to win. I love to play. I love to be on competitive teams.
She's very competitive.
I am. We'll be playing like stupid little games, and I'll be going as hard as I can.
I put her through a drill. Sometimes she might have to, come on, Adie. But I give her a competitive game, man. She's ready. She's like, all right, put me in, coach.
Yeah. And then I guess the 3rd word would just be like dedication or hard work. So I think the last year has shown a lot of just what we can do when we put the time in, and the strides and the growth that we can make for anybody. If you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to do one-on-one training or show up 3 times a week for group lessons, the results will follow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, not last, we're getting there, but give a word of encouragement to girls and goalkeepers that want to get where you've gotten playing college ball. What would you tell them? What would you tell your 12-year-old Adie? What would you tell somebody that is like dreaming that?
I would say, like, someday you're going to look back and be like, wow, I can't believe I couldn't do that goal kick. When I first started working with Yuri, I couldn't get the ball off the ground, and now we're looking 5 years later and playing in college. So, work hard, push hard, and then it's going to be so fun to look back and just see how far you've come and be like, oh, I'm at this level now, but, I wouldn't be there if I didn't take the extra steps on that goal kick, or take the extra steps learning to be explosive in the air. So, like, it's going to come. Keep rolling, keep having fun, keep training hard, and then you're going to look back and be like, man, I can't believe I couldn't do that,
Love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Last but not least, would you do it all again?
Oh, right now, sign me up.
All right. I'd love to hear that. So, guys, that's what we got for you. Thanks, Adie, for giving us your time. I really hope that reaches all the ones that have that in their heart of moving on, and they have a feeling of what this lifestyle is. All right? And thanks, Adie. Appreciate having you.
Thank you.